Hello, welcome to the Exit Interview. I'm Brendan Ploen. Joining me is Daniel Szczepanek, men's soccer senior, and let's get right to it. So, start off your career. You started in 2013 as a freshman, but you guys won the Big East championship that year. What do you remember from that season, and what do you want to take away from that time?
Yeah, well, I just came off my high school season. I had a great high school career, so I come into the college game thinking I'm going to shine. It's my show, and I get there, and there's these players that are much better than me, much more mature than me. So I really remember the guys. Charlie Lyon, our goalkeeper, he was unbelievable in the net, but just a great leader. Axel Huberg, playing professionally, both of them now. Adam Lysak, these big names in the program, and they kind of led the way. So I just remember trying to get my feet on the ground. That was the most important thing. Trying to do the best I can every single day at practice. And those guys would push me to become better, to kind of get used to the college game because it was completely different than anything I've experienced in the past. So I came in with these expectations that I had for myself, and they were quickly shot down because I wasn't ready for it. But luckily I had those guys to kind of pick me up and kind of get me through that first year.
Yeah, and how are those guys doing? Axel and Charlie, they're in the pros. I mean, what does it say about this program and the direction that it's been going?
Yeah, so at first, there's an old player, Anthony Calesi, who went to my high school, ended up playing here, graduated here from, I want to say, 2010. But when he was here, they were really turning the program around. Getting a lot of wins, not necessarily like winning the Big East just about yet, but then those guys came in, Brian Schelke, Adam Lysak, Axel Huberg, Charlie Lyon, all these guys, and they ended up winning the Big East. So I was on the team when we won the Big East, which was very nice. But it goes credit to Anthony Calesi from the people that kind of came in 06, maybe even before that. It was those guys that kind of set the pace of where this program was going. And it just took all those other guys to come in and kind of fill in roles to win the Big East championship, because it's not an easy thing to do. So. And
what did they teach you from that season that you wanted to take later on in your career?
Yeah, so I mean, we learn just the system because you're playing with a new team. So I've always been a center midfielder my whole life. And then I went to Chicago Fire Academy, played outside defender and outside midfield a little. So then I came into Marquette, and my role was kind of be an outside forward, sometimes center forward. But it was a completely different system. So kind of getting used to how we're going to play, the formation, the tactics, that was the biggest learning curve for me, because I wasn't able to do things I normally was doing because that didn't fit the system. And the game does not revolve around me, and I had to learn that very quickly. So that's kind of what I learned that first year. The technique, the staying healthy and fit and stuff. That stuff I've always been able to do on my own. So that wasn't the problem. It was just the tactics and kind of understanding our system.
Now that you reflect on your last season, I mean, you and Jack were the only guys remaining from that Big East team. Heading into this past offseason, what did you want, to teach the young guys about that team and in your career in general?
Yeah, well, because of my experience, I knew how difficult coming into the college game was. So for the new guys, I wanted to kind of help them through it. If they need help, I wanted to give them my full attention after practice, before practice. If they needed my help, I was always there. So I just wanted to get them grounded first, because I knew that we would need all 24, 25 guys to win, because even at practice, one thing that I can't take for granted is how much the guys who don't play help out at practice. If they're competing at a high level, it's going to help us in a game. So even if they're not playing, I wanted to make sure everyone was on the same page, that the team is the most important thing, not the individual. But if that means helping out the individual to make the team better, then that's something I was willing to do, and I would just want to help the guys as much as I can, because I was helped when I was a freshman.
I mean, we talk about how much of a character Coach Bennett is. What's your favorite Coach B story that you can share with us, and how much has he shaped your college career?
I mean, there's just way too many stories to just pick one. I know there was this one moment, you know, he loves diving headers, okay? So there was a time where I did a diving header at practice, and I landed on top of my hand, and I broke my bone right here, and I was in so much pain, but Coach B just loved that I did the diving header, so Coach B is you know, so happy, like, oh, hey, Dansky, that's a diving header, great stuff. So that was really funny to the team, but I was the one that was in pain. But he gets so excited and has so much passion for the game. And one thing that you cannot deny about Coach B is that he gives 110% to the game. He loves the game. You can tell that he is passionate about the game. And so the way he shaped me is to kind of remember that little 7-year-old, 8-year-old boy that fell in love with the game. He can be a 50-plus-year-old guy and still love the game just as much. So that's something that I will always go into my life with, is always loving the game no matter what.
Coming in as a senior, you were expected to be a leader, but the young guys like Luka, Connor Alba, and the likes, how have they shaped, you know, the latter half of your college career? Because, I mean, you're not just a senior, you're a redshirt senior. You've been here for 5 years. And so what was that, you know, what was that extra year like, just spending, you know, with the young guys?
Mm-hmm. Well, as a mature kind of guy into our system, I knew the ins and outs of everything. So I always want to still continue helping out as best I can. And when I came in as a freshman, you know, I was picking up balls and all the goals and cones and stuff. And as a redshirt senior, I was doing the same thing, just because I thought that was the best way to kind of show the younger guys that that's the way to go. And it's very difficult for guys to come into the program as freshmen and make a difference. But obviously you have Luka Perpa, who comes in his freshman year, has like 10 goals, 10 assists, and he's a player, right? Then you have Connor Alba, who's a player. Patrick Segrist, he's a player. These guys are very good. And so if I'm a redshirt senior, but these guys that are younger than me and are better than me and are performing better than me, they're going to play. And if that's going to help the team, then I'm all for that. So I was always on my toes, because a freshman can come in and completely change a system around if he's better than you or whatever it is. So I loved having those guys on the team, because despite them being younger than me, they pushed me to be better players for sure.
Looking back to November, when the season ended the way that it did in DePaul, at DePaul, do you think about that game still?
Yeah, well, one of my best friends growing up was the goalkeeper, Quinton Lowe. So not only did we lose and our season kind of ended, but I lost to Quinton Lowe, you know, one of my good buddies. So, you know, anytime I talk to him, he'll bring it up, and that's something that I have to live with for the rest of my life, unfortunately. But yeah, it's sad, because we were hoping we would get a result in a different game, so that we can still qualify. But it was there for us. We could have qualified for the biggest tournament had we taken care of business, and it's not easy to do, but we had the opportunity, and we just didn't. We just fell a little short, which is unfortunate, and I wish things had gone a different way, but it is what it is.
And you mentioned taking care of business, but do you think those younger guys could learn from that and sort of, you know, use it next year going forward?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't think any year as a college athlete was ever wasted for me. It's always learning. So with those guys that kind of went through and we fell just short, they're going to learn from that. They're going to know the feeling, understand the feeling, and just do that extra bit more next time. Not to say that they didn't give their effort, but maybe just the maturity in front of goal, or just the decision making on and off the field. That's going to be better. And all that comes from experience. Experience is a huge thing in the college game. Like I said, only a few players can kind of come in and change the game, like Luka Perpa. He can come in and change the game, but experience will get you a far way in college soccer.
To a happier time now, what was your favorite memory playing at Valley Fields?
Well, the thing I like the most, my favorite moment kind of in the Valley Fields locker room would be singing. And the reason that that's probably my favorite moment is because what comes with singing. We sang every time we won a game. And that means that we had to plan for the game, prepare for the game, and then perform. and then our reward was we won the game and got to sing. So knowing what came with that singing was the most rewarding thing, and I enjoyed it every single time. And there's multiple songs that we sang, and we're all just so happy in the locker room, and spraying water bottles, and that was always my favorite thing because of what it meant.
What was your favorite song to sing in the locker room?
We're blue and gold. We're blue and gold. We're blue. Yeah, so that was my favorite for sure.
Awesome.
Just because, when we won the Big East that year, we had a lot of fans behind the goal, and we would go in after games to the fans and sing that song together with the fans. So that was always exciting to do.
Now, looking back on your 4 years, what was the bigger rivalry for you? Was it playing UWM, growing up in Chicago, a team like DePaul, or Wisconsin?
I really enjoyed playing the Milwaukee Cup. It doesn't matter if one of us is the best team in the country and the other team is the worst team in the country. That's always going to be a battle no matter what. And it's been around for years now. And the whole city of Milwaukee comes together to watch that game. So that was my favorite. And the atmosphere around those games is something that not a lot of other rivalries in college soccer have. So that was probably my favorite rivalry for sure.
Do you remember one particular moment from the Milwaukee Cup that stands out to you?
Yeah, well, I scored 2 goals in the Milwaukee Cup one year. That was my senior year, redshirt junior year. And I remember my girlfriend, she said, "Score a goal." And I said, "I'm going to score 2." And, I just said that, obviously I want to be serious, but at the same time, I'm just saying that to be funny. And there I went and I scored 2 goals. So that was very memorable for me. And we tied that game 3-3, unfortunately, but we were up 3-0, so that was kind of unfortunate. But we got to retain the cup that year, and I had a big part to do with it, so I was very happy with that one for sure.
Going back on it, would you change anything about the college soccer game?
The game itself, I know they're talking about making college soccer into like a full year kind of system, because I feel like that's going to be better for the college game as a whole, because I think developing soccer players to be better, we need more time training. Too many times I felt like we were preparing for the next game instead of kind of having our regeneration session, then kind of having just practices to get better, and then preparing for the game. It just felt like preparing for a game, done, preparing for a game, next one, And so the college system, I think, needs to change a little bit like that. So hopefully they can get that year-round system, which would be very good for the college game. And then me personally, my decision to kind of be here at Marquette and play college soccer, that's something I wouldn't change. The people I've met here, from a school point, academic point, whatever, and then also athletic point, I would never change that because I met some incredible friends and teammates.
And so what are your plans for after graduation? Do you plan on being in Milwaukee?
Yeah, so I will be working for PricewaterhouseCoopers. It's an accounting firm, and I'll be in the Milwaukee office. So currently studying for my CPA, so I've been in the library kind of getting that done, but I will be in the Milwaukee office, so I'm very excited to stay close and be able to come back and cheer on the team.
And has Coach, talked to you about life lessons after the game?
He teaches us life lessons during our time here. After, everything about soccer is a life lesson. For example, my junior year, I played just about every minute of every game. My senior year, I didn't. I played every game, but not every minute. And why is that? Because maybe there was someone who was in better form than me at the time. And that's going to happen in life. If there's someone who's performing better or more qualified for the job, they're going to get it. So there's always lessons to be learned. But one thing that can never be taken away from you is your work ethic. What you put into something is what you're going to get out of it. So that's something that soccer in general has always taught me.
In November, you were named the Man of the Year. And what did it mean to end your career with that distinguished award?
Yeah, so Coach B says that there's people that come into the team and they're kind of tourists. They're just there for the show. This is cool. Then there's Marquette soccer players that when they kind of get it, and there's a few players that bleed blue and gold, and that's kind of what that award means, is someone who's given everything they can for the program, and to be recognized for someone who's kind of given everything, that was very special, because I feel like I have dedicated a lot of time, broken bones, blood, sweat, tears, everything, and to be recognized for it is something special.
What's a Marquette soccer player to you, and after 5 years of being here?
Marquette soccer player would be Brotherhood. It's kind of this collective group of guys throughout history. When the program was started to now, there's only X amount of players or people that can say that they were part of the Marquette Blue and Gold family, and I get to call myself one of those people. So it's this kind of camaraderie and brotherhood that we all get to share. So that's what I call Marquette soccer player.
And you were recently played in the alumni game as an alum. What was that like for the first time, and was it weird being on the other side of the pitch?
Yeah, I played here for 5 seasons, so to finally be an alumni, it still doesn't necessarily feel real to me. I know it is, but I wanted to play for the Marquette team, not necessarily alumni, because I still feel young and fit and stuff. But it was still nice to get to play against them, but it was nice to see the old teammates as well. Brian Czczepanek, he came back, and Adam Lysak, so I got to play with old teammates again, which is always something special.
Looking back on your career, do you have any regrets?
No regrets. I think that coming here was my purpose. God had a plan for me, and there was times where maybe my career was down or whatever it was, but I think that's all part of the plan. And I'm happy that I came here. I got a great education by coming here. I got to meet some incredible people, and I got to play the game that I love. No regrets.
Were you able to set your goals from the beginning of the year?
I'm always setting goals, and sometimes I fall short. Maybe I was just made the goals a little bit too difficult, but I'm always making goals. I wouldn't say I set all of them, but once again, no regrets, because I gave it my all. And at the end of the day, if I gave it my all and I fell short, then it is what it is. But the only time I would have a regret is if I didn't try. But I've always tried, and I've always done my best to make it happen.
How do you want to be remembered?
There was a lot of people want to be remembered for being the best player in history, the best goal scorer, whatever it is. I just want to be remembered for my character. I want to be remembered for someone who works the hardest, something that I can control. So, for example, sometimes if the weather is bad, we can't control that it's going to rain, but my work ethic is something I can always control. My reaction to certain situations is something I can always control. So I want people to remember my character, and kind of be a blueprint for future players coming to the program of what a Marquette player's character should look like.
Great. That's all I've got. Well, congrats on a great career, and best of luck in the future, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.